We already did that. I also went to go see Civil War.
I also saw Civil War.
I also saw this film.
Yeah.
Spoiler warning. Light spoilers for a couple action scenes ahead, but nothing actually plot related. Either way, it's up to you.
Yeah.
And then, the next day, I went and watched it again.
Ooh.
Oh, I did not.
I'm planning on doing that this week probably, but
Upon second viewing,
Terrible movie. It falls apart
All
completely.
the flaws
upon
of the
second
show.
viewing, there actually wasn't anything extra that I caught that I missed the first time around.
Yeah, I
surprisingly.
was going to say, like, it seemed pretty, like, plain Jane.
Got
and
it all.
Yeah.
Got it all.
but then you got it again.
What I did get, though, was seeing it with the 3 days later night crowd that didn't react to the same jokes. They got no fun, no laughs, and it was way more of a bummer.
Was it filled?
It was full. But it was way more of a bummer with the second crowd than with the first crowd.
It matters.
Which
Do you think
fucking,
they were all seeing it a second time like you were?
Yeah, maybe.
That makes sense.
Maybe, but I remember some of the stuff that popped super hard.
There's a
on the
lot of
first viewing.
value in seeing things with that first crowd of people that really
Get it
desperately
and love it.
need it.
Yeah,
Okay, the
yeah.
loudest pop to me was just Bucky and
The gags in the car.
the gags in the car, specifically when Cap does something.
Yeah.
And then they
Yeah,
made
no,
that,
yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah.
the loudest
Yeah,
pop.
the funny ass gags.
In,
like,
in the theater I was in, yeah, some of the gags were good, but the biggest one was Giant Man.
Giant Man. Yeah.
yeah. So
Best. I was so happy I didn't know about that.
yeah, and if you watch Iron Man, if you watch Ant-Man, it's interesting because they like that's the one thing that you're waiting for.
Yeah.
you know, that's the
He
other.
still
power.
just totally has that power, but they never pull it out.
So yeah, I mean, you know, we can probably have some sort of discussion about this at a later time.
Like at the very end of the podcast
But-
for 5 minutes, but I don't think there's
But
all
there's
that
not much a whole
to
lot to
say
say.
I was
other
thinking
than
the
it's
same thing. It's
fantastic.
fantastic.
and my enjoyment was almost ruined by how
I said
embarrassed
this
I
on
felt
Twitter.
for Snyder.
Yeah.
This is
How personally embarrassed.
a curb stomp from Orbit.
It's really bad.
The DCU needs to wrap it up and go home. It's done.
in the
You're
near
fucking
term
done.
of like what, a month and a half, 2 months between the two movies.
A month or something?
It's a very unfavorable comparison,
and the motive.
and it's strong in all the ways that BVS is weak.
It's because it's the same type of story
Yeah.
where you're looking at internal conflict and you know, between two characters that feel they're on the right side,
And
so you can
the
directly
the
parallel
nature of that
things.
conflict is relatively similar. It's, can you be trusted with this power?
Yeah.
And some people say no, some other people say, and like Cap and Tony have multiple arguments about the Accords in this film, and they're real arguments. They're not like
Discussions worth
Batman
having.
and Superman just going Superman.
Martha, you're getting real. Like, yeah, that's a good point.
I have
you
fun
know?
with like Brennan and whatever, and people on Twitter just like, oh, you're a communist if you're with Tony and stuff, and all that fun. And the comic book Civil War is completely different beast, really.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
in the movie one, like I was surprised at how well, like, holy shit, you're actually giving Tony some like, yeah, no, sure, fair enough.
Here's the thing.
stuff like that.
I never agreed with Tony, and I didn't agree with him in this movie. But then you get to the end of the movie, and I still don't agree with Tony. But how can you blame him?
Yeah, that's it.
That kind of came away with that
that was
feeling.
one of those moments,
and that's
too.
amazing.
How
to
can
do
you
that.
blame him when he took this path to get here?
Your mental checklist goes through all the shots you saw in the trailer, and you're like, I didn't see this one yet, so I know something's going to go down.
So towards the end, you're like, I haven't seen that shot yet. How are they going to get there?
and then
oh shit!
and then they get there, and you're like, yeah, no,
All
fair
right.
enough.
All right, this is a completely fair disagreement.
I got nothing to say to you, dude.
Yeah.
Do it.
I was going to say really quick, the thing I was saying to, I think, Liam the other day is that the one thing I'm like most flabbergasted, like how, is that it avoids the problem that happens to a lot of comic book movies, especially when they've already had a couple goes. It's like Spider-Man 3, Age of Ultron. You have so
How do
much
you get
shit
around
going
the ensemble
on.
cast?
How do you get around ensemble cast? How do you have a story thread that you can keep together? And it's just so hard to do that. Like, I understand it's hard, and like the fact that this movie does it,
There are like double the amount of characters that
There's
Avengers
double
2
the
had,
amount. How
do
and
you
it handles
balance
them
it?
better.
and everyone
Very
has
simple.
their moment.
Very simple.
Yeah.
One word: joy. You put joy in the movie. Everyone is happy to be there.
You say that Spider-Man 3 was not about joy, and neither was Age of Ultron.
But what
So
I mean
that-
is,
that-
but what I mean is, you don't have the joylessness of the Snyderverse, where it just feels like
I
everything.
feel like this is a very
fuck-
flimsy argument.
Okay, I felt that the way the cast was represented in Civil War.
I just mean balancing and writing.
He
and
means
editing.
Everyone got their
He
part.
means literally minutes on screen.
I just mean
Okay.
how everything was leveled. That even though like Hawkeye appears in the movie and he's in the trailers and stuff, when they show him like he's so late to the game, how is he? Oh, you had little bits of great dialogue with him, and everyone has a bit.
I was
Ant-Man, who's the biggest bit player in the movie,
Yeah.
gets his own like intro
Movie.
scene, and then like dominates part of the fight, like the
Yeah.
latter half of that fight.
Okay,
scene.
I was kind of going like why would I like? How did you make it so that you care about these people even though they have such small parts?
I just meant on a
Yeah,
writing
yeah,
and
yeah.
editing
Okay.
standpoint.
But
Like must be
But
incredibly
like
hard to write.
each character that they introduce, that's a perfect introduction scene.
And
for
not
them,
only
you
that,
know?
but like the worry is like everyone's obviously going to get their moment, right? Everyone's going to get their time to shine.
Yep.
But everyone doesn't get their moment in here. They get 2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah, maybe,
everyone
yeah.
gets multiple moments where you're like, oh, that's Hawkeye, a character that I don't particularly care for, might have been one of my favorite characters in this movie.
right.
I think the only person who got it bad was War Machine,
Yeah.
who got relatively little on the grand scheme.
Which
of
sucks
things.
because I
Yeah.
love Don Cheadle.
Yeah, he got a cool entrance at that one scene,
Yeah.
but that was kind of it.
Fucking Black Panther does a hunting hawk.
So
Yeah.
Black Panther does a lot.
Great intro for
There's
Black Panther.
the one thing that I'll say about this movie that feels a little cynical is you can feel the Black Panther push from space.
Oh man. They're going in.
It's intense.
Wakanda is picking its fucking legs up and
it always
running through the
depends on
MCU.
whose movie's next. If Black Panthers was 2 movies away, his push would be smaller. The fact that it's literally next, I think it's next year. I might be wrong.
His
but-
push in this movie is strong. Hey, you know who's the coolest and can run faster than Cap and is better than Bucky and is invincible and has a cool, sexy accent and is a
Yeah.
king
That's
and
him.
he's
Dances as a
cool and he can
cat.
fight Bucky with no suit and he's so hot.
Actually, I'll take
So
that
Black
back.
Panther.
So here's
I'll
the
take that
thing.
back. Doctor Strange's movie is next. No
Yeah.
mention of him.
That's true.
Yeah, but he's magic
That's
man.
mysticism.
Actually, I think because like he literally doesn't even have his powers at
Yeah,
the
that's
beginning of the
probably
movie,
the
reason.
whereas like Black Panther's already
Although,
kind
He hasn't had his origin yet.
I believe it's Winter Soldier where they're going down the list of people that Hydra's worried about. They say Stephen Strange, even though
Funny.
he shouldn't be worried about him.
funny.
He's the doctor at that point.
He's a really
they
good
know,
doctor.
but they know.
He's a really good one, though. They know in the future. And, like, I don't think anything else needs to be said about Spider-Man other than...
Good job.
I was telling
Yeah.
Liam
Nailed it,
about
totally.
this. I'm not sure if you guys know. Maybe Wooly knows. But pound for pound, my actual favorite hero is Spider-Man. And I kind of downplay it because there hasn't been that much to be excited about him
In, like,
Yeah.
for a while, either in movies, games, or like, Edge of Spider-Verse and all that Spider-Verse stuff is cool. But other
Yeah.
than that, when I was watching this, I'm like, okay, I watch things like Lenny, where I'm like penting my fingers and I'm waiting for my Oscar, right? I'm penting my fingers and I'm waiting for my Oscar, and I'm just looking at your Spider-Man going, okay, how do I do, how is your, okay.
Impress me.
Within 1 second, I like him.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of a weird looking kid. He's not too hot like Andrew Garfield. He's
Yeah.
not as weird looking as Tobey Maguire, kind of
Seabiscuit.
in the
I-
face area.
I think the thing I liked the most about him was he didn't dominate the movie.
Yep.
They didn't-
Because Spider-Man, if
he
I'm
was
not
pushed the
mistaken,
right amount.
is like the #1 grossing superhero, not just in terms of film, but also merchandise.
Spider-Man's
and
pretty
everything.
big.
And I'm pretty sure he dominates so hard that he's bigger than the next couple down,
Yeah.
like totaling. So for him to
Spider-Man, Batman, Superman.
yeah,
In that
So
order,
so
yeah.
for him to have like not a bit part, but like barely not a bunch more than Ant-Man, less than Black Panther.
Let's call it an understated role.
yeah.
a bit more than Bushwhacker.
Yeah, but like he wasn't. He didn't even like super win by the end. He was just
Yeah.
kind of in the fight. Like,
And not even that. He was just like, I'm done, I guess.
yeah, he was really good for his part though. Like he fit perfectly, and I
Time
really
to leave
liked
to
him.
go to my own movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bye-bye.
So the thing about Black Panther and how perfect and unflawed he is, and how he's just oh my god, is basically that's the thing about Black Panther. He's Black Batman, and he's never wrong and never defeated ever, and is the coolest and strongest and doesn't afraid of nothing. Yeah. But that's his deal. Yeah. And the only thing,
and he's from Space Africa.
The only thing close resembling a weakness ever is the fact that he thinks a little bit too highly of himself, and he's kind of like
maybe a little cocky,
a little bit of cocky, a little bit of hubris.
Yeah.
But that's it. But you have good reason to be, because you're fucking Black Panther. And he's wearing vibranium plot armor at all times. So, like, he is basically what you described.
Someone says to him, is your armor vibranium? Because that's not fair, because your country produces that, so that sucks.
That's too much.
It made me rich and the best.
This is good armor. T'Challa made this in a cave out of scraps.
Can't wait to see him make out with Storm.
Is that no? That's not going to happen.
Not in a movie.
Not in a movie.
Not in a movie.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Wait for the Inhumans to introduce some other character.
Yeah, they kind of pushed
Black Bolt, Black Bolt across
like
Black Panther.
End 2019 or something.
I saw some comments that this may be the Marvel movie that set up the most future Marvel movies ever, because it sets up Spider-Man, obviously, it sets up Black Panther, obviously, but now there's a reason for trouble in Wakanda as a result of this.
Sets up Infinity War Part 1.
Sets up the Infinity War Part 1, no problem. And now that the Avengers are criminals, and if Suicide Squad does well, it sets up the Thunderbolts.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially.
It could.
It wouldn't be the same.
I don't think
Alternatively, it sets up the Thunderbolts to be the B team that gets their shit annihilated in Infinity War Part 1.
I feel like Marvel would go elsewhere before they go to that. The Thunderbolts.
I mean, it's a possibility. It'd be really cool, actually, because those characters.
I would love to see a B team in Infinity War that exists to be murdered.
You know what they could
New
set
Warriors
up?
then.
You know what they could set up? They could set up
like the Guardians are going to be there. So
Spider-Man sharing the universe. They could set up Harry Osborn taking up the remnants of S.H.I.E.L.D. and starting that up.
Well, because that's the thing.
Being the president of S.H.I.E.L.D.
If you're gonna go down a route, like you still have the Osborns in the MCU.
There's a million things you can do.
Yeah. I just want to also say I also played.
hang on, I wanted to talk.
Oh, he had more stuff.
I'm sorry.
You stole it from him.
He had stuff.
On X-Men. Like, I think the X-Men are my favorite collective superhero bunch.
Well, because there's so many, and there's so many good ones.
And they're awesome.
They're like my second.
But I was talking to a friend, and I think at this point in the MCU, I would rather the X-Men just not be introduced into it. Because the moment you introduce the X-Men, you're not introducing Wolverine. You're introducing 10 characters.
Well, I got good news for you, Liam.
No, I know. And I love the X-Men. And I don't like Fox's movies as much.
Yeah.
But, I think at this point, the MCU has 20 it has 30 characters now.
A larger issue is the Spider-Man problem. It's that if you introduce the X-Men at this point, it becomes, why haven't mutants ever been mentioned in the history of this fucking universe ever?
Well, but also, how many X-Men movies do you have to make to cover the characters?
They just announced
35.
another one today.
Yeah.
They said the next one will take place in the 90s.
Great.
Because the Fox deal,
that's when I liked them best.
That's actually what I like.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a lot more than what Sony did with Spider-Man for Fox to.
But
that's what I also mean is I think it's the MCU's in such a good place.
Yeah.
I think the X-Men would actually muddy it.
I mean,
there's so many. Of them.
They pulled out of the tailspin, the nosedive they were in with the last two movies plus Deadpool. And Marvel has actively started, getting rid of mutants, right? So,
you mean gifted people?
Wasn't one of their last two movies Fantastic Four, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, Deadpool and Future Past and First Class.
Yeah. First Class is great, yeah.
Were not shitbag movies. They were good movies. And if those were all tanks right across the board,
then
we'd be having a different conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
They didn't make their money back. They did.
Fantastic Four might show up the way that fucking train wreck's going.
Yeah, well, Punisher, got back into the right hands too. So
they should get Fantastic Four just to kill them all in the movie and get Doom in there.
Yeah,
just to get Doom.
I actually want Doom.
I think you're. Liam, I think you're completely fucking right.
All you want is Doom and Super Skrull. And just
you have a Fantastic Four movie that's half an hour, and Doom just wins and kills them.
Yeah.
Dude, I bet you we're getting Skrulls in Guardians 2.
Yeah, for sure.
I bet you were getting Skrulls. We got Kree right there.
Either Guardians or Infinity War. They also mentioned today that I believe Infinity War will have Captain Marvel in it to set up her.
Yeah, because she's getting a movie. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so